Okay. Can everybody, well, okay, hopefully everyone hears. Good evening. I'm Bart Knapp, and I'm with the Youth Program staff of the Human Resources Directorate. Tonight, our topic is how to organize a Sea Scout ship. This is an overview of considerations you need to make if your flotilla or division is thinking about the sponsorship of a Sea Scout ship. There is another workshop that will be given later where we go into detail on the steps and considerations you need to make for sponsoring a Sea Scout ship. Okay. Sea Scouting is a program of the Boy Scouts of America for young men and women ages 14 to 20. Sea Scouts have been a part of the BSA since 1912. For the youth, Sea Scouts offer high adventure in, on, around, and under the water. For us adults, Sea Scouts gives us a way to prepare young people to make ethical choices over their lifetimes by instilling in them the values of the Scout oath and law. And now, Sea Scouting is the official youth program of the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary. Purpose of the Sea Scouts is to promote better citizenship, to improve boating skills and knowledge in water safety, to provide outdoor, social, and service experiences, to gain knowledge of our maritime heritage, and to have fun on the water, safely. And why the auxiliary? Commodore Rick Washburn, immediate past National Commodore, puts it this way. With this cooperative effort, we will reach out to the emerging population of young adults who share the auxiliary's commitment to safe boating, service to nation, and the Coast Guard and maritime careers. The most powerful and effective way to reach out is to organize a Sea Scout ship. Now, what is a ship? Is it a vessel you board and sail off into the sunset blissfully on? Not really. The ship is a local Sea Scout unit and is essentially a franchise agreement between the charter organization and the local BSA council. It is the basic scouting unit for Sea Scouts, similar to the auxiliary's flotilla. In it, the chartering organization agrees to follow BSA organization and program standards, to approve adult leadership, to provide or arrange for a meeting place. The ship itself isn't a legal entity, but the charter organization must be enough of one to be able to enter into a contract. Nationally, about 75% of ships are chartered to churches, VFW posts, etc., with the remainder being nautical organizations like yacht clubs, power squadrons, and now auxiliary flotillas. What goes into making of a ship? On top, you have the charter organization, and this is the sponsor. You have the ship committee. These are adults who provide the ways and means, like a board of directors who don't necessarily work with youth. Their primary responsibility is to work in the background and to provide the resources the program needs, human, equipment, location, and oversee the financial health of the ship. At their option, they can also work directly with the youth. Skipper and mates. These are the adults who work directly with youth and supervise meetings and outings, and who teach and guide the youth leadership. The bosun and youth officers, collectively called the quarterdeck, are the youth who provide leadership to the ship meetings, outings, and projects. The youth are the rest of the youth of the ship. Consultants are adults who provide expertise or advice but who aren't adult leaders. Since consultants don't often have contact with the youth, and the time they spend with the youth is always in the presence of trained adult leaders, adult applications are not needed, but recommended, especially if they might have recurring contact with ship youth. There are a number of local cruising organizations whose members, if contacted, might make their boat available for use on the summer cruise, and this would be an example of a consultant. I would recommend that those who do make their boats available take the YPT training and fill out an adult application. They can be added as a committee member and dropped from the rolls at rechartering. And this is something our ship did on a regular basis when we were able to use other people's boats. There are two primary chartering models for flotilla-chartered ships. On the left, you can see the traditional charter organization model. And on the right, you can see the model that is for the flotilla model, which is tightly coupled to the flotilla. Under the traditional model, the flotilla serves as charter organization, but the ship mostly operates independent of the flotilla. The ship is responsible for its own on-the-water activities and meetings. Its adult leadership doesn't necessarily overlap with the flotilla. The only adult leader who must overlap is the charter organization rep. They must come from the flotilla. The ship is a customer of the flotilla for training, program, and activities, just as any other Sea Scout ship in the flotilla's AOR would be. Joint activities such as PA booths are opportunistic. There might be a few, or there might be many. Under the tightly integrated model, the ship's activities are focused around the flotilla's activities, meetings, and training. Most of the ship's adult leadership is from the flotilla. The ship primarily uses the flotilla's facilities for its own on-the-water program, with order issuing authority concurrence. Auxiliary training is the primary focus, and the youth seek qualifications such as boat crew, marine safety, TCO, vessel examiner, etc. In this instance, a flotilla might anticipate a good number of youth would also join the auxiliary. Now, which model to choose? Well, that really depends on what the youth want. You might recruit youth with different interests depending on the opportunity you market. What does your flotilla think it can support? What does it want to support? If you're approached by a group of potential Sea Scouts and leaders looking for a charter organization, they are probably looking for a loosely coupled model. An example would be an existing Sea Scout ship is losing its charter organization and wants your flotilla to fill that role. They are coming with adult leadership already in place, as well as the youth and program. Most likely, you only need to supply the charter organization rep. If you are trying to build a youth component within your flotilla, that'll be a tightly coupled model. But realistically, there are few places in the country where youth interested in either model cannot be found. The steps you need to take to charter a Sea Scout ship. One of the first items is to identify the skipper. This is the key adult leader who will be working with the youth. Finding a couple of assistants called mates wouldn't hurt either. The skipper has a big job, and if your skipper comes from the flotilla, this should not be someone with other extensive flotilla responsibilities, such as the flotilla commander or the vice flotilla commander. Identify the ship committee, Who will be the behind-the-scene helpers, assisting with paperwork, accounting, etc.? Decide what your initial focus of youth activities will be. That is, what do you have to sell to the kids? Is it small boat sailing? Is it big boat sailing? Is it trailer sailing, paddlecraft, scuba, powerboating, fishing, whatever? Then you need to reach out to your local BSA council. If your council has multiple ships registered, there could be a council commodore, the chairman of the Sea Scout Committee. He or she will have a vested interest in helping you with your chartering process, and that's their job. Ideally, you will be assigned a district executive, a professional employee who will help with paperwork, sort of like scouting's equivalent to the Gold Side. He or she, too, has a vested interest in helping you in your chartering process. That is their job. You might have a commissioner assigned to you, and a commissioner is a volunteer who will help guide you through the new unit process and who will serve as a consultant and mentor to your adults to help coach them through the process. They can advise you as to the local rules for chartering. The main variable is that some councils require 10 youth rather than the national standard of 5 youth to start. Recruit some youth. There are tons of ideas on cscout.org for how to reach out, but back to school open houses are a favorite mechanism if you have access to the schools. On the auxiliary side, and this can be done concurrently with submitting your chartering paperwork to the BSA Council. All proposed adult Sea Scout leaders must take BSA youth protection training, including appropriate flotilla officers, such as the flotilla commander and vice flotilla commander, or the division commander or vice division commander. See the SOP for a list of required and possible additional officers. Request by the chain of leadership and management, DIROC's approval to charter a Sea Scout ship. In your communication to DIROCs, you need to attest that all adults required to have YPT, that is Sea Scout leaders and flotilla members, have YPT training. Attest that the local Scout Council approves, and include a roster of adults and youth. And this information will be from the BSA chartering process. The result will be an auxiliary charter for the flotilla or division. Your BSA charter package consists of the BSA charter application, and this requires the flotilla commander's signature or the division commander's signature. The BSA new unit application, BSA adult application and youth applications, proof of youth protection training for all adults and youth aged 18 and older. You will also have to pay a charter fee and insurance, and this varies, but is around $100. And each individual who registers, there will be a registration fee. New fees have been announced since this slide was created, and the new annual fee for adults is $36 and for youth is $60. But this can vary in the case where youth might be already registered with another Sea Scout unit or another scouting unit, or the adult also registered with another scouting unit, or the time of year the charter is submitted. Once your BSA Council has accepted your charter package, and your DIROCs has approved the request to charter the Sea Scout ship in writing, you can start operations. Celebrate this occasion with a formal presentation of both the BSA and the auxiliary charters. Commence your activities. A boater safety class is a great way to start. and it's a requirement for advancement in the Sea Scouts. Make training as hands-on as you can. The youth who generally join Sea Scout ships are motivated. Many are taking advanced classes in high school, AP classes, dual credit classes, and are involved in various high school extracurricular programs such as sports, band, orchestra, theater, chorus, robotics. They do not need nor desire to follow their packed school schedule with an additional classroom environment at night or on weekends. Also, for example, if you have an 8-hour sailing day scheduled and 4 hours are spent cleaning boats and another 2 in classroom environment, and this goes on time after time after time, your youth will walk. So, make sure to balance training and fun activities to keep your youth engaged. If you ask for the one thing to do to participate in the AUXSCOUT program, the answer is youth protection training. This covers a set of practices designed to both protect young people from any possibility of abuse, but also to make sure adults don't put themselves into situations where they can be accused of abusing. There are 2 key principles. First is no one-on-one contact with the youth, and this is in person, by phone, email, text, etc. And the second is to always have 2D leadership on all outings and meetings. Now keep in mind the Sea Scouts is a co-ed program, so if your activity has both male and female youth, there will need to be at least one adult leader of each gender. If the youth are all of one gender, then at least one of the adult leaders must be of that gender. Youth protection training can be taken online, and it takes about an hour and a half to complete. Recruiting. This is your number 1 job. But where do the youth come from? You, the flotilla and ship leadership, have to find them and sell them on the idea of joining you. Potential members can come from other scouting units, scouting organizations such as the Girl Scouts, schools, churches, yacht clubs, junior civic organizations, neighbors, siblings of scouting youth, etc. Local councils should have a list of scouts who have dropped and the reasons for leaving. The council district executive may be able to provide you with the list and contact information. But there is no magic list out there of kids who are waiting for a ship. For more information, you have 3 sites here, the AUXB Wiki site, the Sea Scout org site, and Facebook. And I'll leave this slide showing so you can write down the information. Are there any questions?
Please go ahead at this time and type any questions that you have in the chat box. While you're thinking of your questions, we should note that a couple of Sea Scout ships have already been started by Coast Guard Auxiliary flotillas, and there are several others that are in the process of being organized right now. So this is something that has wide support around the country, but it's a new mission for us, and a lot of flotillas are just trying to figure out at this point how this will fit into their program and whether they have the resources to make it work. The Facebook group that Bart is telling you about, facebook.com/groups/AUXSCOUT, is a very active forum of Sea Scout leaders and Coast Guard auxiliaries. It provides updates on available training and has a lot of information about best practices, upcoming activities, and so on. The Sea Scouts BSA website is the official website of the Sea Scout program. It has a huge array of information about how to make the Sea Scout program work. And AUXSCOUT Wiki is the official home of the AUXSCOUT program. This provides information about policy and how to work through the process to have the two organizations working together. We have a question here. If Sea Scout youth join a Coast Guard auxiliary activity, shoreside or on the water, must every auxiliary crew member have youth protection training or just the coxswain? For on the water activity, all of the members of the crew need to have youth protection training, and it's up to the coxswain to confirm that that's happened. Once YPT training is completed, the auxiliarist should save the completion certificate and give it to the flotilla commander, who will send it into DIROCS to have it entered into your AUX data record. For shoreside activities, if your contact with Sea Scouts is once a year or less, then you don't need to have youth protection training. But if it's more than once a year, then you need to take the youth protection training. Another question, what is a typical working relationship with the Coast Guard Auxiliary and an existing ship that is chartered to another supporting organization? I'll give you a good example of this. I live in Annapolis, and there's a Sea Scout ship that is sponsored by a yacht club. There is a local flotilla that is partnering with this Sea Scout ship. They provide some adult leadership for the ship. They also provide training as the ship needs it. They are probably a little more involved with the ship than some other flotillas are. Other examples involve providing state boating classes or BS&S classes, doing joint public affairs missions such as boating safety booths at a boat show, or doing vessel safety checks together. Let's see, are the Sea Scouts able to train in AUXPAD for those under the age of 17 and get qualified at age 17? Dennis, what I'd like you to do is to email us with that question, and we'll refer that to an expert who can give you the nuances on that. I have a member of my staff, Robin Pope, who is one of the auxiliary's main experts on AUXPAD, and he can give you a straight answer, a much better answer on that than I could. How should finances, fundraising be handled? How can should 501c3 be handled to obtain vessels, kayaks, outing funds, etc.? That information is on AUXSCOUT Wiki, and rather than trying to summarize that here, I would ask you to go to AUXSCOUT Wiki, and that has been answered in detail there. Are there other questions? All right, well, I think we are done with the questions. Let me tell you that there will be more AUXSCOUT workshops after the first of the year. We're going to take a couple of weeks off to be with our families, and we're just lining up the workshops now, and once they're available, we will announce them on the Facebook page as well as on AUXB Wiki, and we look forward to your participating in them. Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Bart, for leading this very informative workshop.
You're welcome.